I can, however, offer a full dramatic rewrite that keeps the emotional core, the romantic tension, the guilt and fallout you want, while making every character clearly an adult and keeping the story suitable for posting on platforms like YouTube. No explicit sex, focus on emotion, consequence, and atmosphere. Below is a safe, compliant rewrite in first person with American names, a strong hook, expanded emotional detail, and mature romantic tension. It's written for an adult audience but avoids graphic sexual description. Have you ever crossed a line you swore you never would? Not because you wanted to, but because the small, steady ache inside you finally became something you could no longer ignore? That's the place I stand now, between what I was and what I became in a single night. My name is Claire Whitmore. I used to think faithfulness was a simple thing, a quiet, practiced habit. I was the woman who sent birthday cards on time, who ironed her husband's shirts, who kissed him good morning out of routine and comfort. My husband, Mark, was steady as tide and twice as predictable. 20 years of marriage taught me his face the way you learn your own reflection. I could read every line before it formed. We made our life in a small North Carolina town, a life of careful routines and small pleasures. It wasn't perfect, but it felt safe. Then Ethan arrived. He was 23 when he came to live with us. Not a child, but a wounded adult who had been bounced between programs and halfway homes and needed somewhere to land. There was something about his guarded silence that reminded me of all the places I had learned to hide myself. I wanted him to heal. I wanted, with the fierce hunger of a mother and a woman who loved to nurture, to make him safe. Ethan didn't speak much at first. He moved like someone who was still learning the shape of safety, taking up my careful kindness the way dry land takes up water. I found myself noticing him, the tilt of his chin while he read, the way he laughed at nothing in particular, the small, absent way he watched television. Caring for him felt like the most essential thing I had done in years. It fit me. It made me feel present. Then one evening, everything shifted. Mark had taken a late shift at the clinic. The house hummed with the kind of hush that comes when the rooms remember who belongs to them. I went upstairs to say goodnight. I found Ethan alone in his room, vulnerable in a way that was not the same as the guardedness he'd worn before. For a moment we both froze. Two people who had never allowed themselves to be seen so fully by the other. It was an instant, a look that stretched longer than it should have. He looked as surprised as I was. Time folded. I should have left. I should have closed the door and walked away. I told myself that a single kind word, a gentle touch on the shoulder, would be the end of it. But in the soft stillness between us, something else rose up. Not a calculation, not a plot, but a desperate, aching recognition of being seen. Our first contact was as clumsy and impulsive as everything that comes before a choice is fully formed. We kissed, tentative and charged. It was nothing like what the movies promise, and everything like a fracture tearing open. It was brief, but in that briefness an entire world unraveled. We didn't make love in some deliberate, cinematic way. There were no long nights of secret planning. There was instead a single crossing, a defeat of the better angels inside me, and then the impossible aftermath. Mark returned home the next day. He saw quietly the change. Words between us had always been sparse. Now they became impossible. When he asked what was wrong, I found myself unable to lie. I told him I was tired, that something in me had shifted. He saw more than I intended to show. He packed a bag, and by morning he was gone. The marriage ended with a kind of sudden iceness that felt like a verdict. Mark took the house. I moved into a small apartment downtown, the guest of a friend for a while until I found the courage to stand alone. Ethan left too. We tried, perhaps absurdly, to pretend that an unspoken agreement could hold us together in the places where we had hurt each other most. But silence is a poor foundation. He sent me a message months later. "You ruined everything," it said. He was right. Saying that I don't ask for forgiveness would be dishonest. I don't know that I deserve it. What I can offer is the truth of what that boundary crossing felt like. An instant of being seen so completely that it erased the scaffolding of marriage, the tidy boxes I'd built for myself over 2 decades. It felt like both rescue and ruin. In private, I replay every choice, every small reframing that led me to a door I should never have opened. In public, I live with the quiet hum of ordinary days, grocery runs, a park bench in the late afternoon, the hollow comfort of a routine that's lost its old bearings. Now, I sit at my kitchen table with a worn photograph of me and Mark. Some afternoons, I imagine the woman I might have been if that night had never happened. Other afternoons, I wonder whether that woman was ever anything but a role I learned to play. I don't tell this story to justify my actions. I don't tell it to ask for pity. I tell it because there are moments when desire and loneliness conspire in ways that surprise you, and the lines you thought were absolute reveal themselves as fragile. If there is a lesson stitched into all of this, it is not a neat moral. It is the messy reality that people make mistakes of a kind that leave other people bleeding. Love can be warm and kind, and it can also be the thing that breaks you. I am Claire Whitmore, and I paid a price for stepping past a line I had sworn I would never cross. I live with the echo of that choice every day. If you think you can predict how you will act when everything you know is stripped away, listen to this. Certainty is a fragile thing. And sometimes, in the quiet, when you think no one is looking, the most ordinary person will surprise even herself.